it's time to do it. So there's honestly no one I'd rather have in the car on my team right now.
All right, guys, so much tension down here. So much tension.
Safety equipment departing the scene of Colin Braun's accident that brought out this yellow flag. Should get a restart. Hard to say how many laps will still be left in the race. Look at Blake Taylor.
The anxiety on his face. And we call it a short yellow because there's several instances where it can be this way, but within 30 minutes of the end of the race, it's automatically a short yellow and the pits stay closed, and that just adds a little bit more drama to this entire event.
Short in procedure in terms of what you go through, but it's lengthy now because of the amount of cleanup, but the procedure stays the same. The pit lane stays closed, but this is a break for Wayne Taylor.
What is the chat that Wayne is having with his little lad right now? What is the, what do you think that they're doing to the bells? That's very interesting. Ricky's got his helmet on there, but
this is
that he won't be. No.
Is this
three-man crew? I mean, Jordan's not up against the clock, is he?
I'm confused.
No, he's not.
No, he got in.
Maybe Jordan's not feeling well.
Oh, I think for 15 minutes, you'd fit 11 minutes. Would you feel okay?
He certainly looked like you're preparing for a stop.
This is bizarre.
Well, his hands, there was a resignation there in his hands.
There was.
Well, come on, Jordan, you can pull it. You can pull it, mate.
Well, but now it makes zero sense because they're going to have to make a second penalty stop.
Yeah, the pit lane is closed.
Yeah.
This is an emergency stop.
Nothing has been said on the radio. It's been very quiet. They just told him to come and bring the car down, and they were going to make a driver change. That's all that's been said at this moment.
Now he's committed to the pit in.
I mean, Ricky's got enough time to get points.
Yeah, there's no time real issue in prototype. The only thing I don't think there's any way Jordan could be up against the 14-hour max. But this is bizarre. This is truly bizarre.
But then they'd have made that change earlier if he'd been up against
one would think.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, that's just concluded that one.
I guess now we look, where is Sebastian Bourdais? How many cars between he and...
He's second. He's now jumped up to second.
How many cars between he and Dix?
First car
that seals the deal for Dixon.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, Jordan Taylor's going to be all over him on this restart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they're going to have to serve their once they go green, they will have to serve an additional penalty for pitting with pits closed.
And it's just a question of how far down the running order they fall.
I believe Bourdais is the third car in line behind Dixon.
Calvin, you have a very confused look on your face like all of us.
Well, the only thing I can think is that they suddenly realize that Jordan's up against the 14-hour time limit. I mean, we don't have the driver logs, but Angelelli did a ton of time. Ricky's done a couple of stints. I don't see that being the issue. So,
again,
Jordan looked confused when he got out, just the body language at least.
And I agree with Justin. There was a certain amount of resignation when you saw him kind of with his hands on the wheel as he was...
Jordan told me it was because of how much time he'd been in the car.
Oh.
Wow.
Let's listen to some radio.
You need me to pit? Yes, I need you to pit now. Pit now. All we're going to do is a driver change here. Air hose, drink tube belts, window net.
Well, no explanation to the driver. Remember, it is a three-driver team.
And you heard the confusion in Jordan Taylor's voice.
Yeah, it wasn't clear to him.
So it was a miscalculation that should have been rectified on the last pit stop.
Can you imagine if they were leading?
Well, it's almost as bad. They could be leading.
Exactly.
Well, my money in a braking test down here would have been on Jordan from the restart.
Yeah.
Right, because he could have gone around the outside of him there, the way he's
Jordan got in after Dixon, so it can't be the 4 hour.
No, it's not.
There's two rules. You can do no more than 4 hours in any 6-hour period, and then you can't do any more than 14 hours within the 24-hour race.
He might be up against the
14.
No, on the 4.
Well, he went in after Dixon, and Dixon's at 3:31.
No, but how long was he out?
Good point.
Max was in for a good bit.
He was in for a bit. Max was in for.
Well, we'll learn more later. Meanwhile, lights are out on the pace car, and there are a couple of lap cars between Dixon and Sebastian Bourdais, the new second-place runner in the Mustang sampling number 5, the defending race winners.
This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Well, we talked about making mistakes on the part of crew, and we specifically mentioned engineers crunching numbers and so on and so forth.
The irony is that's supposed to keep the drivers from making a mistake.
Right.
It was the crew that made it. The driver was fine.
And we have confirmation from Jordan that it was drive time.
I see your point, though. Say if Max just did a double and Jordan was in before
Jordan
him,
was in before.
suddenly he's
doing a
only
triple.
90 minutes out, and then he's going to be doing like 4:30.
His break was not long enough.
Here we go, guys.
Green, green, green.
One man who's got his eye on the front will be Sebastian Bourdais right now.
You know what I would have done in that case? I would have said, I wouldn't have told on myself. I would have let him come down afterwards and say, you're not getting the points.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, meanwhile, we've got a race up front. Can Sebastian Bourdais run down fellow IndyCar star Scott Pruitt? Scott Dixon.
But normally you'd be right. Yes, Bob.
Yeah, well, all right.
There's no reason to think he can, but
You've been
this
here
is
too many years,
Daytona.
Bob. Been here too many years, mate.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Dixon has been the class of the field since the sun really came up this morning. As the weather has changed and warmed up, that O2 car has just come alive.
Bourdais will get some help in front. It's the sister Action Express car, the Wheeler number 31. So Phil Keane should just move out of the way, I'm sure, and let Bourdais see if he's got anything in these final few minutes to go after Scott Dixon.
Bourdais been in the car less time than Dixon, but he's been in there a long time.
Wow. Just like that, under 6.5 minutes to go.
Meanwhile, it's 0.8 of a second between our GT Le Mans winners, or leaders.
Yep. Third car in line there is Dirk Werner. Garcia in the yellow vet.
Look at him entering the bus though. He's pushing it like crazy through there. You've got everything to play for right now, and the factory teams reward drivers that push to the edge.
Well, and that's the key. Everybody's going to be pushing. A mistake on the racetrack in another class, not even in your own, can change the outcome of things here in this last 6 minutes easily. 5:45 actually right now.
And I'm standing here with 4 racing drivers, and usually about this point you say, well, he can see the guy he's chasing, and that's a big incentive for closing that gap down.
They do need to get on the horn to the 31. Maybe he was going to try to chase
maybe he could draft him up
the
a little
02,
bit.
but the 10 is back in. Oh, that's for their penalty stop.
Yep.
Oh, look at this. This is fantastic. The BMW is so good on the infield.
Did you see the right front brake coming into the corner there, almost locked up, just barely rolling over Werner, really using everything that BMW has, trying to chase down Antonio Garcia.
Remember last year it was BMW going up against Porsche in the final 20 minutes of this race, and they came up just 3 seconds shy. Let's see what they got this year.
That's what you call human ABS right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of which, while we were watching the action on track, I was watching Ricky Taylor go down the pit lane. He was in a bit of a drag race with a PC car to his left. The PC car pulled in behind him. I hope that's not because Ricky tripped over the pit lane speed limit.
Yeah, they're going to finish third, whatever happens here today.
Yeah.
Unless, it's just
that'll make it 2 seconds and a third in 3 years.
Crazy stuff. And basically what happened was they got out of their driver sequence. They didn't go Jordan, Max, Ricky or whatever. It went Jordan, Max, Jordan. And then when you put the times together, you can't do more than 4 out of a 6-hour period. They suddenly did the math and realized, oh my God.
I wonder what that conversation was like.
Imagine the analyst that suddenly realized that little bit of information.
Like the guy that designed the arrow work on the back of the BMW.
Houston, we have a problem.
Hey, this thing isn't over.
Nope.
No, it's not.
It was 0.93 last lap. 1.06, pulled out a little over a 10th.
Dominic Fahrenbacher still leading in GTD, and Shane Van Gisbergen in the 22. That's the name that's caught us all out at some point.
Not me. No, I don't think I've muffed that one once.
You've been very good with that.
Right, I got the other 209 drivers wrong in the race.
You have referred to him just as Shane the whole time.
Yes,
the Kiwi looks quick.
Come on, this is a great fight.
I'm going to start calling him, hey, buddy.
Look at this. Okay. Bourdais got around the 31. 2.5 seconds across the stripe was the gap between the front two. Last go around.
Yeah, but we're running out of time. 1 minute and 41 second lap, somewhere around there. 3 minutes to go.
This is getting tight. This is getting tight. Garcia's won the big ones before, but can he hold on here?
About 2 laps or so.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, about 2 laps. And where are they in relation to the race leader? Because that'll determine how much time they have to spend on track after the checker flag falls on, presumably, Scott Dixon.
Dirk Werner's had success here in the States before. 2-time Grand Am GT champion. Returns back for a full season, teaming up with Bill Auberlen for the season. But forget the season. They want to win. They want a victory here. He looks quick.
He has to make it in the hard part, and the Corvette can pull away on the easy bit, and that's the straight.
But what we saw, and I think it was Jan Magnussen spoke about this earlier in the race, he said the BMW, if they get in the draft, they seem to be able to come up on us. So he's getting to that point. If he can, like, get another couple of car lengths closer, he's going to really pull the slipstream from that Corvette.
I think that BMW works in the draft so well because it is kind of blocky on the front end, and when it does get into clean air, the engine that's pushing it can really drive it forward when it gets a little bit of that air parted in front of it. So it does work well in the draft, but it also works extremely well in the infield.
Yeah, I mean, I hope the fans listening don't take this wrong. We don't really mind which one of these two win. We just like great racing. I mean, the Corvette are doing an excellent job here, but it's great having lost the potential of an amazing finish at the top of the prototypes just to watch these two go at it.
Be about 1.5 laps to go for these two, I feel. Looking at where the leader is right now, he should get the white flag.
Tom Kimber-Smith, 2 wins, or 3 wins, I should say, at Le Mans, 3 class wins. He may end up with a Rolex watch here. He leads in Prototype Challenge. Dominic Farnbacher still leading in GT Daytona. This is a great battle in GTLM. He seems to have stretched out just a little bit.
Just thinking about this prototype drive time thing, I wonder if Ganassi knew it. As sharp as they are, I wonder if they were sitting there thinking, what the heck is that team doing, putting Jordan Taylor back in there and had that. Wayne Taylor said they always have something up their sleeve. Maybe that was it.
That was right before Chip texted him and says, might want to check drive time.
White flag.
Hashtag drive time.
Yeah.
The white flag
One more good lap here, man. One more good one.
One more lap after 23 hours and 59 minutes. It's just one more lap.
Right, or to put it another way, 739 other laps.
Bourdais 3/10 quicker than Dixon on that last lap.
Huge celebrations down there, and once again, what an achievement for the entire team. I know Jamie Mack will be incredibly delighted. He'll join some elite company. We talked about that for Kyle Larson. This is going to be absolutely huge. And you see the Ganassi squad there.
I think Jamie Mack is emotional. Look at him on the left. He needs those sunglasses because he started to moisten up a little bit, joining the likes of Mario Andretti and A.J. Foyt as winners of the Daytona 500 and the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Kyle Larson, we talked about all that he's accomplished. Tony Kanaan.
I think TK might have a tear or two in his eye as well.
Yeah, maybe so.
It's a pretty special group of drivers that are gathered there. Chip Ganassi with his arms around his boys.
Amazing. Gap is staying about the same with the BMW and the Vet.
Final time through the chicane. Last year, Ford brought their EcoBoost turbocharged engine to this team, and Chip Ganassi Racing gave them not only their first, but their first 3 victories, including a historic return to victory lane at the 12 Hours of Sebring for Ford. And now, Scott Dixon and crew will bring Ford victory in the 24 Hours of Daytona for Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates. How about the Corvette crew?
Man, awesome job. Awesome.
Awesome indeed. Antonio Garcia brings the number 3 home. Another overall, or another class victory for Corvette. There's our GTD class leader. Viper in the hands of Dominic Farnbacher. What a story for this team over the last 12 months. But here they are in a different class, but picking up a victory. Wow.
11:13.
wins all around. 6th victory in 9 tries now for Chip Ganassi. And who would have expected this after the way the 54 team dominated, taking the lead in the darkness of night, holding it until the last half hour of this race, when Colin Brown was caught out in the race leading car, crashed, and Tom Kimber-Smith adds another glittering victory to a very much underappreciated career, winning prototype challenge in the Rolex 24.
I'll tell you what, Scott Dixon's my hero.
Yeah.
If you turn him upside down, nothing comes out right now.
I mean, I think what Jamie McMurray said about him was the most eloquent testimonial to a teammate I've ever heard, and he hit everything that we could ever say about Scott, and that appreciation for someone from a different sort of different discipline, but I think it's opened his eyes just to quite how good, you know, these IndyCar drivers are, quite how good Scott is. That's amazing.
I think the Iceman moniker sticks pretty well.
Pretty sure he's melted.
Oh boy, this is going to be an interesting celebration. We're going to try to hear from every winning driver in the field, and maybe one or two who played a key role but will not come away with a Rolex watch. Stay with us.